Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Lauren, and today I am going to be showing all of you every book that I hauled in the first quarter of 2022. So in the spirit of full disclosure, I don't personally watch a whole lot of haul and unhaul videos, so I'm not entirely sure what order I should go in as I talk about these books, which I think I have about 25 books to talk about. Do you like to hear about them in the order that I purchased them in? Do you want to hear about them as far as like where I got everything from, like grouped by where I bought them? Do you want to hear about them in the order of excitement I feel for reading them? I don't know, you tell me. Just let me know in the comments down below what your favorite way to have these types of videos organized as. Just let me know. My hope is to get out a haul video every quarter of the year. Everyone seems to really love these types of videos, and I don't watch them, but I am more than happy to share them with you. So please let me know if there's any other information that you would like me to share in these types of videos. I am happy to oblige. Enough about that. Let's talk about all of the books that I bought in the first quarter of 2022. All right, so after way too much deliberation, I've decided that the first category of books I'm going to mention are books that are ebooks that I purchased. And there are 3 ebooks that I purchased in the first quarter of 2022. The first one was Unsold by Will White. It is the first in the Cradle series. It is a fantasy series, and I think that I read this in January and really enjoyed it. I gave it, I believe, either 3 or 3.5 stars. It wasn't the greatest start to a fantasy series, but it was a lot of fun to read and got me really invested in the story. And yeah, I am pretty positive I'm going to continue with this series. Another book that I purchased, another ebook that I purchased was Oh Pain by Kyle Winkler. I read this with Steve Talks Books, and it's kind of, I would say, literary horror, experimental fiction sort of fusion. It's a short story collection and really unusual, interesting book. And it's also independently published, which I am happy to support an independently published book. Actually, along with Unsold. Unsold was an independently published book as well. So I am more than happy to purchase these books and support these authors. The discussion that came out of that book with Steve was more than worth the read of this book. And the third ebook that I purchased, which I actually purchased just a few days ago, I just read this, and it was Remote Control by Nadia Korafor. I think it is sort of considered a sci-fi, although it doesn't really have a whole lot of sci-fi elements. To me, it didn't really much feel like a sci-fi. It was more of it had this feel of kind of an African folktale. I read Binti several months ago, the Binti trilogy or the Binti series, and I thought it was okay, and decided to pick this one up on my friend Evie's recommendation from She Was Only Evie, and she kind of felt the same way about Binti and had told me that Remote Control worked a little bit better for her and that I should give it a try, and I did, and she was right. I felt the same way about it. It worked a little bit better for me. It was definitely very beautifully written. The story was very engaging, and yeah, it was fantastic. So yeah, really loved Remote Control. So I think that the next set of books that I'm going to talk about are books that either I've already read, am about to read, or am currently reading. And there are 5 books here. The first book that I had already read was Stiletto by Daniel O'Malley. And this, I actually already had a copy right here, but I like this one better. I think it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I just couldn't resist it. I just love this cover so much. I love it so much more than this. But the problem with it is that it doesn't fit on my shelf, or it doesn't fit well on my shelf. So I'm not really sure what to do about that. I collect books, obviously, and I buy them. I'm a designer. I'm a graphic designer, and if I see a cover that I love, I'm gonna buy it. So yeah, there you have it, Stiletto. The next book that I have already read is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I think I read this for my December TBR, and absolutely loved this book. It's so popular right now. Everybody's read it at this point, and everybody's loved it with good reason. I love how Andy Weir writes, and he just does these it's kind of a survival story. He does them perfectly. and this was no exception. So I really loved Project Hail Mary. So the next book is part 2 of Way of Kings. I have been participating in a Stormlight Archive read along with my friend Yolene at Yolene Reads. I have the UK editions of Way of Kings, which is actually 2 parts, parts 1 and part 2. And I am almost through part 1. I'm about to start part 2. By the way, we're having a live discussion about this book on April 16th. So if you would like to watch that with us, and I will remind you all again as we get a little bit closer. But yeah, I just absolutely love these UK edition covers. So that was why I decided to purchase these. Although whenever I get to the second book, Words of Radiance, I think I may end up just getting the US edition. It seems like it might be a little bit easier just to have one big fat giant book. I don't know. My books don't have to match. That's fine. Kind of want them to though. But I mean, I think I might get the US edition for Words of Radiance. The next book is Layer of Dreams, and I am currently reading it. I just started this yesterday. I've read about 84 pages. I read The Diviners last year and absolutely loved it. And I really like how the second book has started. I'm really enjoying it so far. So yeah, you can look forward to hearing all about my thoughts when I finish this book for my March wrap up. And the final book in this category, and I am so excited about it. If you saw my April TBR video, you might recall my reaction to drawing this book, and it is Shorefall by Robert Jackson Bennett. My friend Alicia from Little Prairie Library called it right whenever she commented and said that I had probably already purchased this right away. And I did. As soon as I finished filming, I bought this book. I'll be reading it in April, and hopefully, if I love it even half as much as the first book, this should be a pretty good time. So yeah, Shorefall. The next 2 books that I hauled in 2022 were from a book box. I subscribed to the book box from The Strand, and I posted one video last year, and I haven't done one since. I don't know if you guys are interested in that at all, learning about book boxes from The Strand, but the cool thing about those boxes is that you can pick the genre. They have fiction and nonfiction, and they have a couple like thriller box, and I think they have like a kids box, but the box that I subscribed to is a sci-fi fantasy box for adults. The box that I just got is the spring box, and the box came with, I really honestly wish that I had filmed myself unboxing it because it was particularly good. In it came with a few different snacks. It came with some coffee. It came with a pinhole camera, which is amazing. The big thing that you get with this box is a new sci-fi fantasy release and in a hardback, and then you also get a paperback, just another paperback of sci-fi fantasy. So the paperback that came with it was The Light from Other Stars, which I've heard of this before, and I've seen it around. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm definitely going to read it. And then the most exciting part of that box this time was the hardback, and it was one that was already on my TBR, and when I opened the box, I could have screamed. I probably did, actually. I was so excited. And it was Tell Me an Ending by Joe Harkin. And this is a sci-fi novel about people who receive letters saying that they have had some memories wiped, but they don't know what it is. And so it's them kind of going through this sort of crisis, trying to figure out what memory has been wiped and how that affects their lives, and sort of the cascade of issues after finding out that this piece of information. So I was already super excited to read this, and it also came with a signed book plate. There it is. So I'm very, very excited to get to Tell Me an Ending. The next category of books that I want to tell you all about are books that were recommendations from other booktubers. One of them was a direct recommendation from a booktuber to me, and the others are just books that I know that other booktubers loved and really intrigued me when I heard about them. The first one is The Past is Read by Catherine M. Valente, and this I picked up because, first of all, I mean, look at that cover. Just love it. But more importantly, this book is well loved by Book Invasion. I really love his channel and trust his taste in sci-fi. So I decided to pick this up, and I'm really excited about it. It's actually a much smaller book than I thought it would be. The synopsis sounded really good to me, and I got it at a great deal on Book Outlet. So Really looking forward to this one. The next book on this list is A Brightness Long Ago by Guy Gavriel Kay. And this book was very well loved by Tamara Cameron. This was one of her favorite books of 2021. And also, I have heard multiple booktubers talk about the horse race scene. And I have to know, that's all they say. They're just like, the horse race scene. Oh my gosh. And I have to know what that means. What about the horse race scene? Like, I have to know what that's about. And then on the Guy Gavriel Kay note, I also picked up Tigana. I'm not thinking of a specific booktuber who has recommended this, but more that so many booktubers I've heard talk about this either love it or hate it. It's a very black and white opinions that I've heard about this book. And whenever a book has that strong of feelings and inspires those passionate feelings one way or the other, I really want to jump in and see how I feel about it. It sounds like it's pretty epic. I mean, this is a hefty book, and the writing is not big. I'll say that much about it. So I'm really curious to see where I fall, what side of the line I fall on for Tigana. And the final book on this list was recommended specifically to me by my friend Elsa at the French Book Dreamer, and she recommended The Promised Neverland. This is a manga, which I have never read one of these before, but she did this really awesome video, which I'll be sure to link down below, where she asked people if they wanted a manga recommendation, what they were looking for. And she did an entire video where she gave recommendations for anyone who asked for one. And I asked for one. I told her that I like stories that are kind of dark and that I like, you know, sci-fi and fantasy and horror, and gave her some more information about the kinds of things I liked in books. And it sounds like this is going to be a pretty good fit for me whenever I do finally get around to it. She says that it looks kind of sweet and cute, but it has a really dark underbelly, which I am really excited to find out what that means. So yeah, really looking forward to getting to The Promised Neverland. The next few books I want to mention, I guess I'm just going to call kind of wild card books. The first one is Dead Lies Dreaming. This is just a book I stumbled upon, thought it looked and sounded interesting, and decided to give it a try. And it also has a little blurb on the front by Ben Aronovich, who wrote the Rivers of London, and he says it's brilliantly disturbing and funny at the same time. That sounds awesome to me. And this, I think, it sounds sort of like an urban fantasy. It's a heist story, and it sounds really fun and fast-paced, so really looking forward to getting to this one. The next book is The Secret Chapter by Genevieve Cogman. This is one of the Invisible Library novels. I'm not even sure how big this series is at this point. I've read the first one, and I've just kind of been gradually collecting the books over time. I think I have 4 or 5 of them at this point, and I'm really looking forward to getting to the next one. It is a portal fantasy series, which I really enjoy. Yeah, so just one more in that series that I've collected. The next wild card book that I have is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. I don't really know what this book is about. I just know that it is this is a very well-loved and celebrated author, a very well-loved and celebrated novel. And I mean, just look at that cover, like another one. This was kind of a cover buy for me. I want to know, like, what it is about his writing that everyone loves so much that has made him kind of a modern classic author. His writing style, or his sort of conceptually, his books sound like they're a little weird, a little out there. And I like books that are a little weird and a little out there. So I thought, you know, I want to know what this author's writing is all about, and I think there's a pretty good chance I'm going to end up really enjoying this. And then the final wild card book, and this is, I kind of laugh at myself when I think about the fact that I bought this, and it is a Dean Koontz novel, The Silent Corner. I have no idea what this is about, but it is a signed copy, and I am a sucker for author autographs and could not resist. So hopefully this is good and I enjoy it, but nonetheless, I own it now. You know, I have a few books. I have a few like author autographs. Is that something that you would all like to see? I could do a video where I talk about all the books that I own that are signs. Is that a weird video idea? I don't know. You tell me. Let me know down in the comments below if you'd like a video where I show you all the books, all the signed copies of books that I have. So the final category of books that I want to mention are books that I have purchased but I do not currently have in my possession. One of those is The Binding by, is it Bridget Collins, I think? This book, I just purchased it online like a day or two ago maybe. This is a book that is very well loved by my friend Yolene. It comes highly recommended by her, and I saw it for super cheap on Book Outlet, and it was the last one they had, so I snatched it right up. I also, in that same purchase, I purchased 2 short story collections by Ursula K. Le Guin. The first one is called Changing Planes, and the other one is called The Birthday of the World and Other Short Stories. The only book that I have completed of hers was The Lathe of Heaven, and I absolutely loved this book. So I'm very, very curious to read some more of her short stories and just kind of get to know her better as a writer. And then the final set of books that I have purchased and do not own, it is 4 books. Can you guess what those 4 books are? Yep, I did it. I bought into the hype. I purchased the Brandon Sanderson secret novels and am really looking forward to getting the first one. If you purchased them as well, please tell me in the comments down below. I am just blown away that this campaign has raised as much money as it has. Like I mentioned earlier, I am in the middle of the Stormlight Archive, so I feel like by the time I get that first book, I will have completed it, or very likely will have completed the Stormlight Archive by then. So I cannot wait to get that first book and just get more into Brandon Sanderson's writing. I love his writing, so I'm really looking forward to getting to that one. All right, so there you have it, all of the books that I have purchased in the first quarter of 2022. Yes, I did take the time to stack them all very precariously behind me so you can see all of the physical copies. If you enjoyed this video, I hope that you will like it and possibly subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.